On today's episode, we discuss the development of Nico Hoerner, reveal a stat that may be surprising for Cubs fans, and enter the feedback zone with comments and questions from fans. That's all on this edition of Locked On Cubs. Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. I believe that is 3 days now where the intro is done correctly. Thanks to Travis for pointing that out in the comments on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/LockedOnCubs. Also, it's important to subscribe and follow and like on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment on the video edition as well and get that pushed to your phone, as we are your first listen every day on the Cubs.
And I appreciate some of the negative feedback that I've gotten about my appearance on YouTube. I'll try and get better. A haircut should be in the near future. But until then, it is what it is. Normally, I like to wear a hat when my hair is bad, folks. But I got these new headphones that Matt made me get, and I can't wear a hat over them. So
you better believe it.
Sorry, I'm not Tom Cruise. I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm Samuel J. Olber. Continue.
Very good. So we lead off today's program with some Nico Hoerner conversation. He has become, if I could speak for Sam for 2 seconds, our favorite player on this team. And we're going to go over if he's the best player on this team and how he projects moving forward. This was a guy, Sam, that really did not have many major league plate appearances entering the year. He wasn't in the minor leagues very long at all. And he's done a really nice job over there at shortstop for the Northsiders in 2022.
I thought P.J. Higgins was your favorite guy.
He's second.
Oh, interesting. Nico Hoerner has been exceptional for the Cubs this year. Not only is he far and away the best story of the 2022 Cubs, I personally think he's one of the best stories in baseball. Here's a guy that was drafted pretty high, came up in 2019, Matt, as a complimentary piece, right? Because back then we still had all the old suspects, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, etc. To try and spark, if you remember, I believe he came up, his debut was in San Diego later in the year. The Cubs were still very much alive. He had a big debut at Petco Park, and he was kind of like a complimentary piece. And now it's transition. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. He didn't really stay healthy much in 20, and last year was an injury plate season. And now he has truly become, I think, one of the building blocks. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say, Matt, because offensively, to me, he profiles very much like Tim Anderson on the South Side. Obviously, he hasn't done what Tim Anderson has done, for that amount of time, but just his skill set, bat to ball skills. He doesn't have the power quite yet that Tim Anderson has. Maybe that comes, who knows? But that bat to ball skills, very rare swing and miss, very rare strikeout, high average hitter. He is the first guy, Matthew Frank Cozy, since
and we're going to get a security breach pretty soon.
He is the first guy since I would say Ben Zobrist that I feel absolutely confident when he comes up with the game on the line. Rizzo maybe a little bit as well, but Hoerner and Zobrist for sure. So I would say it's just, he's hitting 307, and we haven't even talked about the biggest surprise for Nico Hoerner and what's driving his 3.2 WAR, his wins above replacement, which in mid to late July is an astoundingly high number. He has been fantastic on the defensive end. He's playing a really nice short. There were questions about his arm. He has found ways to combat that. He basically plays all over the diamond because he plays basically right field when a good left-handed hitter is up.
Boog will let you know, by the way.
Yeah. He's been awesome defensively. And if they do get Bogarts or Correa or Turner next year and those guys want to play short, he'll be you look at the All-Stars at second base yesterday that were starting, Jeff McNeil and Andres Jimenez. If Nico Hoerner's a second baseman next year, you could book him into Seattle already. I'll fill out my ballot. Nico Hoerner will be a 2023 All-Star.
That's not a guarantee though, right?
I can't guarantee it because of health, but if he stays healthy, that's a guarantee.
Okay, that's okay with a
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
notation. Gotcha.
Well, I
So
can't guarantee health. I'm not a doctor.
true. So Hoerner is among shortstops right now, Sam, third in
Doctors
batting average
and
at 307.
doctors can't guarantee health either. They just fix health. That was a weird comment for me to make, but carry on.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up. So
Gel your
Hoerner,
hair.
what's that?
Gel your hair.
Yeah, I didn't put anything into it today.
Yeah, it looks flat.
So
Do-do-do-do-do.
oh no. Sometimes I forget where I am. So Hoerner is third in batting average at 307. Okay. He's seventh in on base percentage. This is just among shortstops. He's also second in defensive runs saved. And I really wanted to find today how hard he throws across the diamond. You would think any of these websites would have that because
Right.
that's been really the biggest concern is, oh, how does his arm play at shortstop? Okay. And just based on his play this year, whether that's the eye test, whether it's him moving around the diamond a little bit, whether it's the routine play, his arm is fine. Okay. I would say it's average to above average for shortstop, but his range, he has plus range. He knows his range. He's really good going and getting the baseball to his right, especially on the backhand. The run through plays, he makes it look easy. So if you're talking about shortstops that rank highly in this league, I would say the year that he's having right now, okay, and he's right up there offensively too, but the other things that he brings defensively, base running, he is up there in shortstops and being a real deal at shortstop. Now, that's not to say there's still lots of room for growth, but even if you just zoom in on average, okay, so Hoerner's third, Bogarts is first, Trey Turner is fourth, Dansby Swanson sixth, Carlos Correa eighth, all the guys who might be available this winter. Well, Hoerner is up to snuff there too.
Yeah, he's been awesome overall. I think he's been, like I said, the best. Not only the best story, but the best player on this team. I think he projects out in the future really, really well, and I don't see why he has a lot of work to do, Matt. I think with offensively his profile, I think he could become a more selective hitter. I think he could walk a little bit more. And when he walks a little bit more, he'll start hitting more home runs. Like those two things go together. Or I think it's probably the other way around. If he starts hitting more home runs, they'll pitch him more carefully and he'll start walking more. But all that stuff is picky. I think he's going to be, I just think he's a great story. I love the way he plays the game. I love his personality, and I think he's going to be a Cub for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if the power tool is in there or not, but guess what? I don't know if it needs to be, especially if he does end up at second base. You're going to hopefully have complementary pieces around him that will elevate the ball club and hit the ball out of the yard. Let me ask you this, actually before that, at least for this 22 team, especially with 70 games left, and then when we get to the trade deadline, there'll be about 60 games left without some of the main players that are on the team, so to speak. So as we've established, this team is going to lose a lot in the last 60 to 70 games. Well, Hoerner is a reason to be excited. There's a watchability factor with him too, and he's a joy to watch as a baseball fan, right?
He's a joy to watch. He's excellent. He's kind of handsome too. Is that out of bounds?
There you go.
Yeah, no, but he's terrific. And in a year that has seen us watch Swarmer, Leiter, Norris, Simmons,
VR, your
favorite, Hayward, Gomes, the list goes on and on. Hoerner's been a great story and been an absolute thrill to watch.
You're going to like this question, I think. When the Cubs make the playoffs again, where does Hoerner line up?
I think he'll be. I think he's good enough to be playing short, but depending on who they get, he may just be playing second because those guys want to play short. And I think he's hitting very close to the top of the lineup.
Why isn't he hitting at the top of the lineup now?
I like him in RBI spots. I like seeing him hit third or fourth because I like when he hits with runners on base and you can get the runners on the moves, do a little hit and run. He's a clutch hitter, but hitting him fifth or sixth is just malpractice by a guy that's pretty good at that. His name's David Ross from Dancing with the Stars. He'll be chopping it up, chewing some gum, laughing it up when they play the Yankees. He's doing it with Rizzo, laughing, and hey, no, it's all good.
All right. Well, we'll get more into Ross too because there's a lot we haven't said.
No, we'll have a full episode dedicated to David Ross.
Nico Hoerner is somebody that if I'm collecting,
you're going to try real hard here to swing it into the ad. Just get to the ad. Don't stretch it.
Well, I'm going to get a Nico Hoerner jersey, and after that might be his trading card. And whether you're a casual card collector or looking for exciting alternative investment opportunities, the free Sports Card Investor app has something for you. Download the Sports Card Investor app today, available for free in the Google Play and Apple App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on. As the Cubs enter the second half of the season, I am going to reveal a stat so far this campaign in which they are 7th in, Sam. So you are playing the guessing game first. You're going to guess what category that is, and then we are going to unpack this via some quality conversation. The Cubs are 7th in this stat this year.
Is it like a pitch, like an offensive, like what? You got to give me a little more.
It's off the field. It's not baseball related.
7th
in the major leagues.
I want to say, well, they are being sued right now. It's attendance, something with crowds.
You're right.
Yeah.
7th in home attendance. Okay, this is attendance at Wrigley Field. Interestingly enough, they're actually 3rd in the big leagues in away attendance. Okay, I'm not going to unpack that too much. Let's just stick with Wrigley.
How do they determine that?
I don't know. I don't like that one.
Away attendance. What do they do? Just count the jerseys in the stadium?
I don't know what that is.
What do they ask you? What team you're rooting for before you buy tickets?
Yeah, zip code or something.
Yeah, no, it's
so 7th in home attendance, which is upper echelon of the sport.
I'm really surprised by that, Matthew.
You are surprised. You thought it would be lower.
Yes, because the only game I was at this year was a Saturday night against the arch rival Cardinals, no pun intended, and it was a Saturday night, second game of a doubleheader, and there was like 25,000 people there. I couldn't believe how empty it was. I thought that makes me happy though, that stat, because that tells me that people still love the club, and I get it. People like going to Wrigley. They like to drink a little bit, yada, yada, yada. And the cynics out there will say, well, the reason they're 7th in attendance is the reason why Ricketts doesn't spend. The Cub fans enable them, blah, blah. I don't buy that stuff. I'm glad that Wrigley's filled. It's one of the great landmarks, one of the great places in all of sports, not just baseball. Cubs fans, I think, are as good as any fan base. They're the best. And I like that they're 7th in attendance. And by the way, that is lower than normal. They're usually always top 5. Sure. So, and it should be a little bit lower. They're bad.
Yeah, the Thursday night that I went in June, one of those last Thursdays in June, the attendance was excellent, which I wasn't sure what to expect. But for a weeknight game, closing in on the weekend there, I thought it was great. And it was against the Reds. No offense to Jeff Carr, if I could pronounce his name correctly. But it was actually a pretty good crowd for Cubs Reds.
Wow, I hope you heard that one.
That's really inside. But
you a blue Gatorade guy, or?
Yeah, I like it. So how
I think yellow and light blue are much better.
Orange isn't bad.
Sure.
So you kind of discussed and had your own interpretation there, and you even went into the kind of the winning equals more fans equals more money. What could Ricketts do with that?
We're not the White Sox. We don't have to win sometimes to get fans. We have a great history and a great ballpark, and to be 7th in attendance, good for the fans, man, because it's important that we have fans. This ride that we're on, it's a really tough stretch right now, but as I've said multiple times, and I'll continue to say it, it's going to get better. So I'm glad the attendance is there, and you could thank our shortstop, Nico Jeter, for that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Do you think that ownership, do you have any qualms at all about ownership being okay with 7th? Or do they want to get back in the top 5 or top 4?
Define qualms.
Like they're
I don't
actually,
care.
qualms was not the right word. Are they okay with it, do you think?
I don't care what they're okay with terms and attendance. I want to win a championship. That's what I care about.
Okay.
So if they're sitting there in their suites saying, "Hey, we're 7th in attendance, we don't have to spend this year," then yeah, I have a major problem with that. The goal is to compete. A lot of people want to say on Twitter, the goal for the Cubs is to be competitive every year. They're a big market. Wrong. The goal is to compete for championships, not to win 82 games, 83 games in the regular season. I don't enjoy that. They did that in 2009. I was pretty bored. The goal is to compete for championships year in and year out. And so if they're pitching to us that this year we have to take 3-4 steps back in order to take 6 or 7 steps forward, I'm all for that. If that's the quickest way to compete for championships year in, year out, that's what I want ownership to do. I don't care if they're competing for championships, everything will solve itself. If they're 7th in attendance and they want to be 3rd or 2nd or 1st, they compete for championships, they'll get there. I'm tired of the building the crap around the facility, and this is a long-winded subject.
No, this is good.
I'm tired of the DraftKings stuff around the stadium and this and the hotel rooms and the Starbucks. Win. That's win. I want to win championships. That's what I want to do. I want to compete for titles. That's what it's about to me. Of course, the extra stuff's great. Going to Wrigley Field's great.
They've done a nice job with the stadium.
Yeah, and they have done a nice job with the stadium. I could actually, go to the bathroom without feeling like I'm trapped on an elevator. But at the end of the day, what matters to me, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for everybody else, I want to win, and I want to win titles. And that's why I'm okay with what they're doing this year, because I think they're trying to tell you, hey, let's take a couple steps back to take 4 or 5 steps forward, whatever it is, in order to do that. Because if they just spent this year, yeah, they'd win 78, 80 games and then, be trapped. I just think it's about winning. So that's what I care about. And I hope Ricketts cares about that. Obviously, there's questions around that. He's too busy out there, trying to build another Starbucks.
Well, I hope not. What have you seen from the fan base since 2016? Because I get it that Wrigley's a good time, but I also think, based on what you're saying, I have seen a more expectant Cubs fan base that they expect to win. Have you?
Yeah, they should. But they also have to understand, I've also seen a more apathetic fan base as well.
Okay.
Like, hey, we already won a World Series. I'm not sitting through another rebuild, which is fine. Fans pay the bills. They have the right to do what they want. But I think that you have to understand the game, and I think Ricketts sometimes as an accurate but easy scapegoat. You have to understand the game. Tom Ricketts did not sign. He did not push to sign Jason Hayward. He just wrote the check.
Yeah.
Tom Ricketts did not push to sign VR, Gomes, Sogard, Souza, Descalzo. He just wrote the checks.
Right.
He didn't push. It didn't have to be Stroman. He wrote that check. Sure. The Cubs are 15th in payroll this year. They'll be back probably to the top 5 next year. It's Jed's job to use those resources wisely. And, I personally don't feel like we've ever been in a situation as Cubs fans since Ricketts has taken over where I felt, hey, we would have won it all, or we could have been even better if we just got that guy. We could have traded for Verlander. They decided to do Eloy and Cease for Quintana. That's not on Tom Ricketts. And guys, I'm not a Tom Ricketts guy. He's made plenty of mistakes. Okay, he cries poor. He's buying Chelsea. He's had some political issues. I have no reference to the guy. I'm just saying from a baseball standpoint. When I'm blaming people for why the Cubs are where they are, he's not at the top of my list. And they offered those guys that everybody wants back extensions. They declined them.
We're going to enter the fan feedback zone next. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. From the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given coconut brownie chunk the Puffs treatment. That's right, the coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor you love in a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness, but stop drooling and listen. They are good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and all delicious. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo LOCK15. To close out today's show here on a Thursday episode, as All-Star Week moves along, we are going to read some comments and questions from listeners, Sam, including one follow-up from Eric in Indiana, who we previously heard from, and reacting to some more of the Marquee conversation. And it seems like
the buzzword.
It really elicits a reaction every time.
Did you get a chance to see my tweet last night or no?
Yes. It was about
Ian Happ and David Bednar?
Yes, that was good.
Yeah. I tweeted out, folks, that in case you didn't know, and I tagged the Marquee
Sam
Network.
Olber, by the way.
Yeah. I tweeted out, in case you didn't know, Ian Happ and David Bednar were once Little League teammates, and now they're teammates on the All-Star team. We've heard that 8 times this year. Taylor McGregor.
And then Sunday, you tweeted that they should trade Marquee for Soto.
That's correct.
And I thought that was good as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So Eric says that he remembers when Marquee launched, it was available on Hulu, right?
Correct.
And now it's not. Okay, so that's a big deal because there's the Hulu bundles and there's different streaming options, but the Cubs on streaming networks really is not available.
Sorry, go ahead.
I believe only Fubo TV has Marquee, right? On just streamers.
I don't know.
YouTube TV doesn't have it.
I have YouTube TV. They don't have it. And this is actually a great transition because when you want to start talking about Ricketts, this is Ricketts' issue right here.
Yeah, I think he was more ambitious about that.
This was bad. This is a black mark. This is a bad product. Now, and let me tell you 2 things you don't want to have when you have a product: bad quality and bad accessibility.
Right, and Eric wanted to echo on that. He says in Indiana, most people assume that it's Cubs, White Sox, and Reds, or he actually says that surprises some people. He thinks that most people think the Reds claim most of that state, but all 3 of those teams are blacked out on MLB.TV in Indiana. The radio broadcast, though, is an alternative for listeners not in the area. On MLB audio are blackout free. Any audio on the MLB app is always blackout free. And then he mentions how 2 indie stations simulcasted Cubs games from the WGN and ABC7 feeds when those networks had the games. He said he has really come to appreciate games on the radio with the audio app with Pat and Ron, and he does not agree with the rotation of broadcasters on Marquee. I grew up with Harry and Steve on WGN in the 1990s in high school when cable was more affordable for families. So a lot there, but I think it represents a segment of the fan base.
I would think he represents almost all of them. I mean, you see it last night with Boog at the All-Star game.
He did the radio call for the game.
He's a national broadcaster, okay? And I don't mean – and he's good at being a national broadcaster. That's what he's good at. He's not a local broadcaster for the Chicago Cubs. You have to have some sort of something. You have to feel like your broadcaster – cares about the result. Even though Harry Carey used to run out on tangents and not talk about the game, he was still a Cubs broadcaster. He was still a legend. Boog is just he's just an everyman type of broadcaster that's good in the national setting. He's not good in the Cubs setting. It's just not. It's just a fact. And I mean nothing towards his character at all. He's really good at what he does. It's not his fault. It just was a bad hire, in my opinion.
This last message is from Ryan, who was named after Ryan Sandberg.
Wow.
Okay. He says, "Hello, Matt and Sam. My name is Ryan. I'm 34. I'm a 3rd-generation lifelong Cubs fan from Hawaii. Unfortunately, my dad and grandparents passed away before the Cubs won the World Series. I discovered this podcast the day you released the first episode as the new hosts, and I love it. I live in Hawaii now and can only afford MLB Network every now and then. But funny enough, when I can get it, the Cubs almost always go above 500 those 30 days. I must be good luck. I just wanted to say it stinks that I can't even listen to Cubs games on radio apps because I live so far away. I also just wanted to send a text about the Cubs to people who cheer and cry with the Cubs like I do because I am the only Cubs fan left in my family. Thanks a lot for that message, Ryan, and continue to listen and spread the word.
Well, Ryan, let me tell you something. I'm sorry that your parents and grandparents weren't around to see the Cubs win the World Series, but they were watching because, the first thing when the Cubs won the World Series, my dad, was right away called me. First thing he said, my grandmother, my dad's mom also wasn't around. She was a diehard Cub fan. That's where my dad got it from. That's where I get it from. So it goes down. My dad called me right away and was like, man, you could tell he had tears in his eyes and was just thinking about the people that weren't here for it, that they know are seeing it. That win was for so many generations of Cubs fans. And to me, the most important ones are the ones that weren't here to see it. So whether it's Ryan's parents, grandparents, or whoever, or Sano or Ernie Banks, Cubs legends, that's what it was for. Because somewhere, not to get overly emotional, but it was an overly emotional moment.
Sure.
It really was for everybody. So I'm glad that happened for you and for them. And the Marquee stuff, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We'll keep talking about it. It's a joke. First of all, you can't watch the games. And when you do watch the games, you're bored out of your mind. And sometimes it's not because of the product on the field. Ryan, if the Cubs are 18-12 every 30 games that you watch it, DM me on Twitter. I'll pay for the 30-day rental. If that's what it takes to start winning some games, you have to watch all 30. I'll put it on my bill. I hear something in the background. You got something going on in your background?
Yeah, there might be some landscaping or construction outside.
All right, well then wrap it up because that's making me feel weird.
I apologize. I didn't think
I didn't
think the mic would pick that up.
Yeah, we're recording a show, dude.
And we're recording our next show live at 8 p.m. Central Standard on Thursday. That's going to be live on YouTube, Locked On Cubs. That's for our regular Friday show, but you can eavesdrop on that or actually be a part of the program and comment during the show. We could put some up on the screen. We're going to give that a test drive. Really, we want to do a live show or a couple prior to when the trade deadline hits. And so this is going to be our first shot at that. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night, and you could listen as your first listen on Friday like usual, or be a part of with this live on Thursday night, or both. But we would love for you to be a part of that and comment and be interactive.
And thank you for everybody for all the. I've had a lot of fan interaction here the last couple of days on Twitter and stuff. It's been awesome. So thanks for the support. It's going really a lot better than I think we thought it would go this fast. So keep telling your friends, keep listening, keep texting the voicemail line. We'll get everybody in we can. These are great messages and we appreciate it.
Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Cubs on YouTube as we make the push to 1K. And follow along with us on Twitter at Locked On Cubs. And remember, you can leave us a voicemail or drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Before I get bulldozed here outside my window, I would like to say thank you for listening. For Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.